Now, in this part of the video, we are going to use or we are going to describe some of the very useful commands of Kubernetes. You can treat this video as a cheat sheet of Kubernetes because we are going to use the most common commands which we need to know to work with the Kubernetes cluster. To begin with, we have discussed kubectl apply -am with the name of the YAML file. Okay. Now, in this case, this YAML file can be describing any Kubernetes object, which could mean it could describe, for example, it could describe a deployment, it could describe a deployment and services together. So it could be anything, right? So in our case, in the last video, we had this sample app.yaml and we created that, right? So in the last video, we had this sample app. You can see sample app.yaml, and if you want to create object out of it, we will simply do kubectl apply -app and name of the file. And if the object is not created already, it will be created. If it is already created, then Kubernetes would say it is unchanged or it is already created. So that's fine. Now, if you want to delete any Kubernetes object, you can change apply with the delete thing. We will come to that. Also, if you want not to create an object, but just want to check if object, if you apply this configuration file, if the object is going to be created successfully or not, you can put the try run option over there. And in this case, it is only going to go verify your configuration file and it will say, okay, fine. If you execute this, you're going to hit any error or it will going to go fine. Similarly, in a case where you have multiple YAML files created, right? And you don't want to deploy them one by one, which is going to be tedious if you have hundreds of files and if you want to move, let's say, your system from one cluster to another, and you already have the YAML file for all of them, for all the pods that you might have. So in this case, you can put all of this YAML file in a directory and you can put path of the directory. Okay, so what this command would do, it will search all the YAML file in the given path and it will create all the objects for the YAML files it can find in the path given. Fine. Similarly, you can execute the path with a URL. For example, you can put https:// sample -url .io, and it will try to execute this path if its path is found, and it will try to create an object out of it. Okay, so these are very important command, kubectl apply, because you are going to use it very often, and this is the command you are going to use to create any object in Kubernetes system. Okay, using YAML file, which is the most common way again. Now, as we know, Kubernetes works with nodes, right? So how do you get the information about the nodes? Okay, so one of the very common command in Kubernetes is kubectl get nodes. It is going to give all the nodes which is present in your cluster. Okay. Uh, Now, if you want to know where is your pod running, right? So you can use this command kubectl get pods with the name -o void with flag I, and then you can grab it with the name of the pod. So if I do this, I'm only going to see pod which are running on the node minikube. Okay. So right now, because I have only one node in my system, I am getting all of them. But the idea is, if you want to know, get the nodes which are only running on a particular uh, node, this is how you would go about it. Next thing, if you want to get, the CPU stats about a node, okay, you can basically do it like this. In our case, we can replace node name with minimux, or minikube. But for that, you will have to enable the matrices API. So I think you okay. If you want to delete a node, it will be command would be choose to delete node name mini box. I don't want to delete it because I have to still show you some more commands. Okay, now next command which could be useful is kubectl cluster-info. It is going to show you some of the important information about clusters, and one of the more important thing is if you want to, access the top level uh, page for this cluster, you can access it by this IP, HTTPS 192.168.121. So this is one important API information. This is how you access the API server of this cluster. So this is important. And then this core DNS address, which you can get using this cluster info. This you would be needing, this you would need basically if you want to integrate your cluster with some sort of APIs, REST APIs based system. Okay. The next thing you want to check is kubectl version command. So it would give you the version of your version of your Kubernetes system, which is running on the system. Okay. Next thing you may want to see is kubectl config view. Uh, this command, um, kubectl config view, this you would like to see, and when you want to analyze the overall configuration of your cluster, the details. So it would say, for example, API version is v1, the cluster is running with its certificates. Okay, the cluster name is minikube, if it is having some sort of extension or not. So all of this information can be available with this command kubectl config view, because basically this gives you the overall configuration of your cluster. Similarly, kubectl config get contacts. Okay, this will give you the name of the cluster. And kubectl API resources. This is going to give the list of the APIs which are available for this particular cluster and which are. It will also show you which are enabled, which are not enabled, and which APIs are based on namespace dependent and which of them are not namespace specified, which means they're of global nature. Okay. Now, if you want to see, next thing is kubectl API versions. Let me show you all the APIs or the major API class which is running on this cluster and what is the version of this APIs. Okay. Now, some of the important commands about pods. So we already know about kubectl get pod command. Okay. Now we can do add various flags with this command. For example, show label would show um, oh, that show labels would show the labels associated with this all of these pods. So you can clearly see like, okay, these 3 pods are running and these have these labels. Name, label with name run and value my sample app. Okay. Similarly, right now these pods are coming from the default namespace. If you want to get the pod from all the namespace, there are 2 ways you can do it. You can try it get pods -a, which means all from means all namespace, or you can abbreviate it. You can spell it out fully, which would be all namespaces, all namespaces. So you get the same output. One way you do -a, and other case you do -FN, all namespaces. So far so good. Okay, let's go to the next command. We have already discussed kubectl -get pods -o void, which gives us the IP address information of the pod and the node information of the pod. And one other command which can be used for is kubectl. Let's do one more time get pod. And let's copy the name of the pod. And if I do kubectl describe pod name, it will give much more detail about the pod. So if you see where expect one will execute the command, okay, this is where I execute the command. I executed the command. What I did, I say describe pod, and the pod name is this. I got this name from the kubectl get pods command. I need to know the name of my pod which I want to describe. So now it gives me much more information. It says this pod is running on this node with name minikube IP this. This pod has this IP and it is controlled by replica set. Replica set name is this. Then it is running the container with name my sample app. The container it is running has this image nginx. It is exposing port 80 TCP. It is running in the namespace default. Okay, so on and so forth. You can see this is how you can get it a little bit more information about our pod. if the information given by the command kubectl get pods is not sufficient, we can describe the pods. Okay. Now, if you want to go inside the shell of the pod, which is highly, highly recommended not to do, let's do one pods. But still, let's say this is my one of my sample app pod, and if I want to go inside it, I would do kubectl exec-it. IT is for interactive. Then I would say the name of the pod. The name of the pod is this. So I put it over here. Then the command which I want to use that bin as such. If you notice over here, my share has changed. Initially, I was in percent. Now I have gone to bank, right? So this change is because now I am inside the shell of the pod. If you want to say, if I do the pwd command over here, let's say I am in a root directory and there is nothing over here. Let's come out of here. And if I do pwd command over here, you would see lot many things. Okay, so far so good. Similarly, if you want to describe replica set, you can do with this command kubectl cat replica sets. Replica sets. Okay, so right now there is only one replica set. Its parameters are desired are 3, current is 3, ready is 3. So far so good. And if you want to describe not all replica set, but its specific replica set, then you can just put the name of the command after the command. Yeah. Okay. Similarly, if you want to describe services, kubectl get service. It will give you all the services which are running on the system. Okay. And similarly, the way we describe pod, we can describe services also. So we can call kubectl describe services. And then it will give a little bit more details. That is my sample service. It is running, the name it is running on this particular selector, which ties it to my sample app. This is the IP, this service using, this is the port it is exposing, this is the target port it is pointing to towards the backend port, and this is the endpoint it is exposing. 10 to 44 0.7:80, 10 to 44 0. So these three are the backend port to which it is bound to. So these ports are basically exposed on the backend side by the pod. Okay, let's go to the next thing. Okay, what we have kubectl get service. Okay, so this command you can see how many service account you have and what is happening over there. Next thing is namespace. The kubectl get namespaces. How many namespace we have? We have already discussed this. By default, we have kube system namespace, kube public namespace, and then we have kube node lease, which is a new namespace, and the default is the one where we create the applications. Kube public is the namespace which we expose to the outer world for some of the Kubernetes services. Okay, if you want to get some more detail about any specific namespace, you can do kubectl describe namespace with the name, let's say name of the namespace. So says okay, and it will give some of the information about this particular namespace. Is there any quota? Is there any kind of resource limit? Things like that. For example, if you want to know about default. Okay, fine. If you want to create a new namespace, you can create it with this command. If you want to delete a namespace, you use this command. Okay. Similarly, if you have some secrets, which you have created in your namespace, you might want to get it by this command. So we don't have anything in default. Let's see if we have anything in cube system namespace. No, we don't have any namespace anywhere. You want to create a secret, you can create a kubectl, create secret, okay, with the name, whatever you want to say, give it. Similarly, if you want to get more detail about a particular deployment, we will call Kubernetes get deployment. Okay, right now there is only one deployment there. If you want to describe a deployment, kubectl describe the name of the deployment, sample group, okay, and it will give you the more details about the deployment itself. It will say, okay, how many bots are running, what is the controller, which bot, which pod or which replica set this deployment is managing. All of this information could be seen from here. This is what set is using this selector. This case, this name and label it is using. Okay. Ultimately, the pod template is this. So all of this information, even though you have deployed your deployment and you have forgot about it, what is the specification we're referring to, and if you just want to see some of the detail, you can just execute the describe command on a deployment and you will get all of these things. Similarly, if you want to delete a deployment, the command is delete deployment with the deployment name and it will delete the deployment. Finally, um, probably you want to know some events written. The Kubernetes system has various events and what kind of events are available. We can see them. If you want to, get some more details about a particular event, you can do kubectl get events with the tag -hyphen field selector. And we can say involved object not equal to pod. Find. Okay, this gives some of the event which are not applicable to pod, and if you want to see the event which are applicable in pod, then we get this list. So using field selector, we can filter the event that we want to see. Some of the events are container created, container destroyed, and here the events have been scaled up replica, things like that. Okay, another useful command which could be if you want to get some log of your pod. So let's again say kubectl get pods. These are my pods, and if I want to get some log out of this pod, how would I do this? So kubectl logs, and then we get the name of the pod. Name of the pod is this. Okay, and it gives me some of the logs from this particular pod. If you want to get continuous log from the pod instead of one-time thing, you can put -f, and then whatever logs comes from this pod, it will be keep on coming to your console. You can do Control-C and come out of it. Okay. If you want to get log of a particular duration, you can do this also. To kubectl logs -since equal to 3 hours. So it will give you log only for the last 3 hours. You can put it, for example, 3 hours instead of 3 hours, I think 3 minutes, and it would not give you anything because we didn't do anything. But if I do 30 minutes, probably yes, no. If I do 60 minutes, yeah, we get the logs. Now, if your pod has multiple container, you would get the log from it like this kubectl logs, and you would give the -c in the container name first, and then you give the pod name. Okay. In this way, -c container name pod name, you can get log of a particular container inside a particular pod. Okay. And finally, if you want to redirect your logs to a file, you can do with this command kubectl log pod name, and then you put the name of the file pod.log. With this, all of your log would be redirected to a file. So hopefully this session would be very useful for you, because with this command you can easily work on a Kubernetes cluster, create your pod, destroy them, configure them, play around with them, get the logs. This should help you debugging as well. So generally, kubectl get pods with the option -o void is very helpful to get the IP address information and the node information of pod. If we want to do more than that, we need more information, we can do kubectl describe command to describe the pod, so that we can get not only the IP address information, we also get some more relevant information about the pods. And once we have covered these two aspects, if you even want more information about pod which is not available from the outside, then we can use kubectl log command to get the log of the pod itself to debug further. Okay. So with this, we will stop over here. Let me know in the comments if you want to know something more about any of this command, or if you want to have some more question about a specific command, or if you're facing any other difficulties. And the next video, we are going to deploy a Kubernetes cluster in AWS. So please subscribe so that you can get notification whenever we get to that. Thank you.